against the agreement that we have. They have not followed the agreed terms for delisting. They did let us know that our volumes were low, which we dramatically improved, and three, four, five, 600% more than what KuCoin had asked for. So the whole incident is very frustrating, very disappointing. Um, it doesn't make a lot of sense. The IXS token was in the top 10, 12% of tokens. So there's 700 tokens with lower liquidity. And most of the team we were dealing with at KuCoin disappeared. And a whole bunch of junior people that don't understand the project just came in and um, didn't make a lot of sense, uh, didn't follow any process. And today we find out that we're delisted. Um, so very, very disappointed in that. Very unprofessional, extremely unprofessional. Makes no sense. The trading volumes we had, KuCoin's making money. The exchange they have is business model is to make money on trading volume. So all in all, we've put a lot of time and effort and energy and investment into the KuCoin. So yeah, very, very disappointed. Of course, they're a cryptocurrency exchange. Um, Operating, globally. KuCoin has had a lot of changes recently. Lots of people being fired. Um, there's this new KYC in process. I'm unsure of any licenses they've been getting, but all in all, it's just a mess over there. So that is what it is. It's wasted a huge amount of our time. Derek, Aaron, myself have been, and our market makers have been working on this night and day for 2 or 3 weeks almost, and helps nobody. We've spent 2.5 years building the project. We're just getting launched, launching the project, the products. Um, the whole thing's just crazy. So yeah, we disappointed, but it is what it is. KuCoin is on the down slide, so we're already and have been speaking with other cryptocurrency exchanges that are bigger and better and have more liquidity. We do have investors in the project now, so owners of investors into IXSwap include Coinbase Ventures, include Gate Ventures, include a lot of other people. But so we're looking at some of our partners who can help us get a new listing going, probably at the best time ever for the token. So the irony of KuCoin delisting us, like literally today, is that we're just getting ready to we've just launched the first kind of STO um, on the platform for everybody, which brings the promise of the democratization and anyone being able to buy an STO as easy and quickly as a cryptocurrency or a stock. Um, Caveat being no Americans or Singapore retail, but everyone else in the world. So we got there. We got there. So there's been some major achievements and some really stuff to be really, really positive about and really uplifting. And so the fact that KuCoin basically rug pulled us at this point is, yeah, just extremely kind of frustrating and disappointing. But so on the positive front, we understand the importance of venues. I think we're going to take a different approach moving forward. Um, we did change out our market makers who we weren't happy with a while ago. Our current market makers now are very happy with. We're going to look to list on more exchanges. I think also the landscape has changed. A lot of exchanges have gone bust. Um, in a bearish market or a very vicious bear market, the exchanges are lost 90% of the trading volume. They've fired a lot of their people. They all have to go get licenses. So the landscape's changed there. And what's also changed, I think, is the extortionate costs that cryptocurrency exchanges were trying to charge to list tokens. When we listed around KuCoin time, a lot of the exchanges were asking for up to $1 million just to list token, even though the whole ICO was just over $2 million. So on that note, we are going to find a new centralized crypto exchange for IXS. It's the number one priority for us, so the community we'll just have to be patient there. Um, on a positive note, I think we will look to move into more exchanges now, and not just certainly not just rely on one, which we've seen has been a big issue. We're mainly on KuCoin because of the costs involved, and we invested all this time and energy. So, yeah, I think it's really, really, really bad form from KuCoin, and really, really, really poor decisions by them to hurt our community, to hurt KuCoin users. But we'll bounce back. It's a blip in the road. We'll find a bigger and better place, which is something that's down the pipeline. And I think outside of that, I think I'd like to kind of focus on some of the positive things that have been happening, where we've got the launch pad ready to go here. There's a few things we're finaling out. I think people probably forget or don't even know. These are some of the first STOs for all investors ever launched in the history of the world. Being able to invest one USDC and one STO token of a share of a company or a fund, or in this instance the startup that we're launching right now. That's incredible. It's never been possible before, and I think that's being lost in translation. Um, Certainly today and this week, because everyone's obviously focusing on what the hell KuCoin's doing. But I think ultimately that's very, very exciting for us, and we have a lot of interesting new projects coming in the pipeline. I do want to encourage everyone in the community, as many people as possible, to participate in the current offering. We've made the minimum investment as small as you can go. I mean, one USDC that's pretty pretty small. You could probably go smaller if you're paying in some crypto, but it's as small as it goes. And the whole point is to get people onto the platform, using the platform, working out how to execute, working out their own internal processes, making sure they understand how it works, plugging in their wallets, how they can be part of this and start to build up their STO investment portfolio into all the projects that they like. We want to build the most kind of prolific investor community related to security tokens. And so the only way that people learn, and the only real way investors learn, is if they put skin in the game and they put some money in the game. In this instance, typical investment like this would be asking for a couple of $100,000 minimum per investor, sometimes much bigger. And we've produced, and we've been created the ability for everyone here in our community, again, unfortunately not for Americans right now, to participate and start building their STO portfolio like they have built their crypto or NFTs or whatever they've been into in previous digital assets. So this is really promising and really positive. Team's been working night and day on, and especially recently, another reason that it's very upsetting with KuCoin. We've had some amazing marketing from the team, Aaron, Gene, everyone else. We've brought some new people in on the sales side. Kath's recently joined us. The marketing activities have been pumping. The trading volume was pumping. Launch is getting ready, and everything besides KuCoin is looking great. So that's kind of some kind of high level issue. Well, the other thing I'd say is we're also trying to enter some new markets, or focus on some key markets, especially around in Asia. And so I think we've got some of our community who are doing some great jobs. I'm not going to name anyone today, but I think if you guys are out there listening, there are some people in the community that have ambassadors that have been doing some fantastic work, introducing companies and issuers and potential distribution partners and influencers and all this kind of stuff. So we're really thankful about that. I think we're going to try to continue driving these ambassador programs, and trying to get people more and more involved into the project to help us grow, especially those people that have been with us from the very beginning. Time flies, but we have been working night and day for over 2 years on this project, and we've just got some really exciting stuff going on. Like, it's sort of confidential, but anyway, we've just proposed that IXSwap could be used with one of the biggest investment banks in the world. That's very early stages, but that's the kind of stuff that's going on outside of these silly nonsensical issues like we have with KuCoin right now. I've been talking way too much, so I'll pass it back to Aaron to see if he's got some things he wanted to share, or things that I might have missed that are important for the community. And then, of course, we can open up for questions.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to add on to the fact that, the getting the issuers to actually sell tokens at a minimum size of $1 is not easy. And most issuers don't want to take multiple investors into the deal. They prefer just one or two investors that will take the whole chunk. So it is a lot of effort from the team. And just want to highlight that the team is working very hard to get all these listings onto the platform. We have lined up quite a few listings after Torex. So the intention right now for the launchpad is to launch at least a deal every month to start off with. And then as traction builds up on the platform, as we see more organic users come to the platform, signing up, investing to deals, then we can start ramping up the activity. We're not short of deal pipeline. A lot of people want to obviously want to raise money. So we've been sort of sifting through a lot of the different investment opportunities that are out there in the market right now. We will be bringing some debt deals into the market, which are more short term, easier to understand for new investors. It's a lot lower risk. Things like leased assets or working capital finance type of assets that are for SMEs or for some larger corporations, and they'll sort of take a loan against us, and you get a interest return from those kind of deals. So we're going to be launching that, I think, that as the next deal as well. Um, but for now, I think the Torex deal is super interesting. So, like Jules mentioned, I encourage everyone to enter the deal. I'm both of us are also putting our own money into the deal as well. So, I'd like to make sure that everyone learns and has the opportunity to do that as well. So I think there are also a couple of other questions that came across from the community over the last, I guess, since we had the last AMA, I suppose. Maybe let's go through them quickly. So the first question was, does the team have any comments on the Ripple court decisions? I mean, this was a interesting court decision that came out. I think it's a bit weird. I don't know what to make out of it. I'm not sure whether this is going to be bad for crypto in the long run, where a lot of the startups won't be able to access VC money anymore because then these become securities. On the flip side, it might get a lot better for retail investors because you might not have that many rounds. The VCs won't be getting to the seed rounds early and getting a cheaper rounds, so that might be potentially better for the retail investors. But currently, the funding environment for crypto is generally the bulk of the funding still comes from VCs. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out in the long run. Jules, do you have any sort of thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a super strange ruling. Actually, another judge has just challenged it, although that's again, as you know, America is a big country and they like to litigate, argue, and fight about everything. But I think that there's what does it mean? Actually, my personal opinion is that there's the US has suffers crypto suffers in the US more than most places, predominantly because of the US dollar and the global currency and all the competing interests trying to keep it as the global currency, even though that's clearly slowly losing traction around the world, even outside of crypto. I think ultimately there will be a time. America's super commercial; they sell better than anyone. They're not selling anything right now. They can't sell anything because everyone's so confused. I think Gary Gensler is trying to get a specific job and in the U.S. government, and he has completely flipped his position from years ago because he was actually very pro crypto. He used to lecture on crypto. He was shilling Hedera at some point, I think. Um, yeah, so it's all about the behind the wall, the door behind the door politics and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, the thing that I think will happen is they'll get it right. There'll be a point where crypto does get classified. I don't think you can have cryptocurrency in 95% of the world's countries being classified as crypto, and then the US consistently sitting there saying, no, 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 it's securities. I have said this for years. I think it's actually, I've had this discussion recently, which is quite funny. I always thought that the security tokens will save crypto in some capacity. save it specifically in the instance that it'll become obvious what a security token really looks like and why that is actually different to crypto. Now, of course, tons of these crypto projects were shilled, especially in America, kind of as security, so that there is a whole history of there's a reason why the SEC is chasing these people, but essentially, Bitcoin has been left out of all of this. In the same couple of weeks that things were going extremely bad for crypto a couple of weeks ago, we had six of the biggest financial institutions in the world launch Bitcoin ETF applications. Their applications, they're not approvals, but it's clear that BlackRock and everybody else is going to come and start selling Bitcoin and other types of assets. So I think overall, it's just a waiting game. It's super disappointing for friends in the industry who are American, who are having to leave the country. Or recently, I just saw the government coming after engineers who had written smart contracts related to either DAOs or tokens. So they're actually coming for the engineers, which is like a next level craziness. But yeah, ultimately, I mean, if you look at the key jurisdictions around the world, Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, EU, the UK, UAE now, like everyone's getting bullish on crypto. They just need to work out how it fits in the bigger picture. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. For now, we will be launching more US assets over time. We're not scared or afraid or concerned about that because there's a whole structure for foreigners to invest into US assets that have been going since the beginning of time. But we won't be taking on US investors right now. But we're keen to do that when we think that there's clarity and it wouldn't hurt the brand or get us into any kind of hot water. So I think it's just waiting game there, and then at some point it's going to have to fold. There will be a change in management in America, and new management will come in, and I think fix the mess that's been going on there for a couple of years. That's my 2 cents.
Cool. Okay. Next question that they had was, are we planning to introduce any sort of copy trading features on IXS in future? When we first started the project, there was one of our partners. So if you actually look at our partner list, there was a copy trading platform that is there with us. At this current point in time, there is no plans to actually launch a copy trading system. That said, we are looking at increasing trading activity on the platform, and we are looking at doing it through gamification of tasks and activities within the IXS community to generate more trading volume within the ecosystem itself. So we're bringing someone on. He's starting next week already, and he's going to be focused on a lot of the retail sort of B2C experience on IXSwap. So that's what we're doing on the trading front. We had another question, I guess, on when the layout of the exchange is going to change. This has already been designed. We've updated all the designs to sort of be in sync with everything on IXSwap. We are well aware that the swaps and the launchpad and the website are slightly different at the moment. We are looking to upgrade everything else right now. So this is tabled for this quarter, along with focusing on, I guess, upgrading our KYC onboarding system for IXSwap. What we've noticed is that the KYC right now is a bit complicated, I guess, for a lot of retail users. So what we're trying to do is that we are trying to look for operators that we can use to automate the KYC process, and we think that this will probably help the onboarding and, I guess, the user signups on IXSwap significantly. We also are looking at optimizing the mobile functionalities this quarter. We know that there are existing problems with the mobile functionalities. The system is not optimized for mobile as yet. Only the DEX has been so far. The launchpad has not been done. So we are looking at upgrading this quarter because given that we are starting to push out into these other Asian markets, the user base for these markets are generally on mobile. So that's going to be a lot of our focus, I guess, in this quarter as well. Let's see what's next. Share some details about marketing restrictions that we are facing. So I guess in general, when we promote securities, depending on which jurisdiction you're talking about, right? You can't go out into the market and say you can't market to a specific community for a specific deal and give opinions, right? So you can't go to, say, Korea and say, hey, South Koreans, come invest in IXSwap, and we have a live deal called Torex right now. So that we're not allowed to do. We are generally, well, from the Bahamas perspective, we're allowed to share any sort of factual information about the projects, but just no information. So, but in Singapore, you you can't you're not even supposed to be sharing the deal details with the public unless the user has actually signed up on the platform. So it really depends on the different jurisdictions that we are trying to market to. And I guess the user base that is looking at our marketing material as well. So it's quite complicated. It differs from region to region. Yeah, I mean, if there's any specific questions about a certain region, we're happy to answer that as well. Let's see what's next. Is our Launchpad fee competitive with other platforms? I think that we're actually charging less than other platforms. From what I've seen in the sort of startup accelerator Launchpad world, most projects are probably charging between 8 to 10% for the deal, and they take equity on top of that, right? So if you think about it for a startup, in the startup's perspective, this doesn't make a lot of sense to them. So for some of the companies that are raising through us, I mean, if they're raising $50,000 and we're taking 10% off that, and then they have to pay an integration fee as well to even be onboarded at IXSwap, that fee doesn't make a lot of sense for us to be charging them at that rate. So I think the fees that we have now are quite in line, I guess, with the traditional markets instead of what's happening in, I guess, crypto and this startup world right now. Will Torex token be traded on our exchange? We are currently rolling out the OTC functions via the InvestX systems. We are looking to implement OTC trading for some of these assets that we are going to be launching off the platform that have very small market caps. For larger projects that are going to be raising more than $100,000, these will most likely have liquidity pools attached to them and secondary trading. But for small issuances, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the issuers to be creating liquidity pools to be trading at right now, at least. How long do I think it will take for Torex to do the IPO? I mean, this is anyone's guess, I would say. They are looking at a lot of approvals right now across, I think it's China, Europe, and the US. So I think what happens for most of these companies is that once they get approvals from the local jurisdictions, from each of the individual jurisdictions, what happens is that they start getting they start getting their licenses across the different jurisdictions as well. And because Torex is so specialized in Alzheimer's drug, the chance for them to IPO is as high as them getting bought out. I would think actually the chance of them getting bought out would probably be much higher, but that's just my own opinions, not investment advice. How do you calculate the value of Torex shares? So if the company releases annual financial statements during their AGMs, so generally how you calculate equity value, you would just calculate the book value, right, of the financial statements. So what they would show on your financial statements is the equity capital, and you just divide that by the amount of shareholders within the company, and that should give you the book value of the company. That said, book value is also not very reflective of the real value of the shares on the market. And so there's a lot of different ways how you calculate value of the share, depending on how you want to look at it. There's discounted cash flow models. There is a lot of different ways that you can look at it. So I can't specifically tell you how you want to calculate the value of the shares. It's just dependent on your preference of how you analyze these assets. I think those are the main questions that we got from prior to the AMA. Let me see if there's anything in the group chat.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, just on that last part, valuation. The thing about private startups before they're public is that the valuations are, part science, part revenue, part sales, part tech, part future, part a lot of different things. The reason why, the fundraising process from sort of seed, A, B, C, D round, pre-IPO, um, is an established kind of framework, but even when you're looking at evaluating a startup, there's not one specific way. So to kind of mirror or echo Aaron's points there, I think there's comparable. There are different ways of doing things. There's comparables, which is very difficult when you're talking about a new technology. Very difficult. So you can look at potentially other previous, startups that did something in brackets similar, but it won't be the same, right? And is it the same time? And is it exactly the same market? And is the addressable market the same? And is the potential for the solution, what's that size? Again, so I think you got to just do your own research. You got to look at the people behind the project. I think that's always the number one thing in a startup. And assess whether you like the products, whether you believe in that. And obviously, the pre-IPO, you have a situation where that's the goal. The founders in that company and all of the previous investors, I'm going to say all, predominantly all, have been investing into this startup to get it to that point, ideally to get to the IPO. So everyone in there is trying to achieve the same thing. And then I think, again, up to investors to work out how they're going to play that. As Aaron said, probably taken for granted for those in the community that don't work in the platform, but getting these what we consider to be high quality investments, and that doesn't mean they're all going to work out. They could certainly not perform. They could go way down, et cetera, et cetera. They could IPO. They could go amazing. But the point is that we think of these decent investments, we've been able to track down owners and share with them the mission at IXSwap, get them excited by tokenization, get them excited by what we're doing at IXSwap, and allow us, our community, to invest as little as $1. And that's the beauty of tokenization, is that you can, one of the reasons why $1 shares was not available before for investing into startups, especially late stage startups, is like paperwork, right? People just don't want to deal with the paperwork. It doesn't make any sense. Like, how can you if you send someone $1 through the bank, it'll cost you $30 in fees. So it'll cost you $31 to make a $1 investment. So already that doesn't really stack up. So there's some amazing stuff about this. I think, do your own research. If you think that you think this is a shot, you can make a very, very small investment. And I think, again, to learn how it works, to start building your portfolio, to get your hands dirty, there is always, historically, in new industries, especially technology, typically, not always, the asymmetrical returns goes to those that invest early into the space. And right now, our community has the ability to be some of the first investors in these securities, and to grow their portfolio and their knowledge from there. So that's why we really encourage everyone who's been in the community supporting. We've made it as low as buying cryptocurrency or a few cryptocurrency tokens. So that's how we see it. Do we have some more questions, Aaron?
I think that was it. We cleared most of the questions that were asked before the chat.
Okay.
I mean, there was a question on, I guess, to break down the team, but I can share that in the chat after.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, don't want to hold everyone up unnecessarily. Appreciate everyone's support. Thanks for tuning in today. We're on the chat. The team's here. You can trust that we're working hard on it, and we're going to make it a great success. We'll keep you guys posted on our discussions with new listing venues. So stay tuned on that. And we'll speak to you guys soon. Thanks, Gene. Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.